Was,
Um,
was that?
it's a new term. It's something
Yeah.
that has existed for a while, but it hasn't been named. And fortunately, Shoshana Zuboff came with, she always says you got to name it before you can tame it. So
Right.
surveillance capitalism, it addresses the process of commodifying personal data with the purpose of profit making. Surveillance capitalism has an interesting history. At first, surveillance capitalism, it started off as advertising, a way to advertise and become more sophisticated with the advent of the internet. And it first started off with click through rates. We used to measure, when Mike put his site up, how many clicks did you get? How many
Right.
people actually clicked through your site? And what they said was, hey, you know what? We can take this one step further. Why don't we not only have people click through, but why don't we see if we can figure out how to steer people towards Mike's site with the certainty that they will actually go there and buy something. So that's what
Right.
surveillance capitalism is. And what they do is, data is collected, and it's collected. I always like to say, when Nixon's guys broke into the Watergate, they said it was surreptitious entry. And I was like,
Right.
what? Surreptitious? It's a break-in. Well, your data is collected surreptitiously without you actually
Exactly.
knowing it. And there are a lot of different ways. They collect your data uh, while bypassing, your awareness. In a lot of different ways. And I can remember now that I think back, I can remember a lot of times when I suspected that people were collecting data, but I really didn't know. But I can think of one time when I used to be in the car business and I was a manager at a Mercedes store. And Mercedes, like General Motors, had the system called OnStar. They had a system similar to OnStar,
Right.
where if you got in a wreck or something, you could call them and say, hey, I'm in a wreck and blah, 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 send help. And they would stay on the phone with you, through the car, and they would send you help, you know. But what I found out also was that they could also listen while you were in the car.
Right.
And this is, a lot of, I used to have guys, because when you sell Mercedes, all kinds of people come in. And I would have people come in, and every now and then somebody would say, hey, I want that OnStar out of my car. And I said, well, that's not something we can do. I don't know if anybody does that. I always wondered, I said, why do they want it out? And then one day my boss told me, he says, because they're doing something illegal. And they don't want the cops
Right.
listening to them.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
I have
It's,
I I have OnStar in my car. I got GMC, and I'm saying like they got a little thing just like on the camera. There's a camera in there. I mean, there's a camera there.
yeah,
And the thing is that you know, if like if I'm out somewhere and maybe just be doing just anything, but my wife know where I'm at. All she got to do is ask the phone. They'll go to. She said, well, what are you doing there?" you
but see,
know,
that's one of the things about technology. It can work
right,
for you and against you, because I have
right.
cameras around my house. But when I put the cameras up, I said, that's a great idea. I can see who's at the door. I can leak on the backyard. But my wife can always call me up and say, hey, I saw you just left out. Where you going?
Right.
So
Exactly.
data
Well,
collection works both ways. But
but
the
see,
thing about data, data is collected a lot of different ways. For instance, a Nest thermostat has a microphone in it.
uh-huh.
So when someone asked Google, they said, well, why is there a microphone in my Nest thermostat? Because it doesn't show up on a schematic. And an engineer took one apart and said, there's a microphone in here. And Google said, oh my God, wow, we didn't even know. I don't know how that got in there, you know. But
Google listens all the time. We
when
got
you agree, when you sign the agreement and click,
right.
you're giving them permission to collect your data. And if you read through about 1,000 pages of a user agreement, you would see
Look,
that in there.
you
But
do
not a
be
lot of people, yeah, would understand why would you need a Nest thermostat listening, because they want to collect as many data points on you as possible so that they know you know, how not only how to sell you things, but when is the optimal time for you to buy something, and then lead you to the place that can sell it
Yeah,
to you.
to steer you in that direction.
Yeah, they steer
And
you
the
in
thing
that
is,
direction.
the interesting thing about the data collection nowadays, you know, like with the cell phones and everything, the smartphones, they say we look at our cell phone somewhere between 125 and 150 times a day. So it's like Big Brother is just in your pocket, you know.
You have
Not like they're really going out their way. We're just handing it over to them.
Yeah,
you have invited Big Brother into your life.
yeah, you have.
Exactly.
And one of the crazy things about it is that, you know, I got a MacBook, and then I got like a phone I use for work, and I got my personal phone. And every now and then somebody on the TV will say something that sounds like, "Hey Siri," and all
Right.
three of them say, "Yes, can I help you?" I'm like, "What the hell," you know? So your phone listens all the time.
Right.
Right.
And
Your phone listens, yeah,
we
and
have that
that's
little Google device.
uh-huh.
And sometimes we're talking, whether I'm talking to the grandkids or my wife or somebody, and it'll just start answering questions that we didn't even ask. It's just like we like shut up. we didn't ask you nothing. Speak
Right.
who's spoken to.
Yeah, yeah.
Or if it's just between the two of you, you and whoever you're in the car with, you'll pick up things.
I would tell
Yeah,
you some
yeah,
things,
yeah,
but I know this is a Christian show, so I can't. But I'm gonna try to put it like this. Me and my wife was having a date. I mean,
Oh yeah.
we were doing some things, and so at the end of the interlude and stuff, looked at the phone and it had what we was doing on the phone. I was like, oh my God,
But
turn it.
it's it's crazy the way you can talk about something. Like I've
Right.
been I wanted to get a fence for the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been looking at fences, and I hadn't at the time I hadn't gone on the internet or anything, but I just told my wife, I said, "Well, what do you think about a fence? You know, what kind of fence? Blah 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 blah." And what do you think starts showing up 10 minutes later?
Fence.
Fences.
But
Yeah,
But
fences, you know.
anytime you look at anything, because I'm, we buying bakery equipment and stuff, and I just I was looking at some bakery ovens and stuff. So, okay, then. But then I start the computer up the next day. I got all these bakery ovens. I got everything. I'm like, wow. We looked at that Peloton one time because I said I like that system. I want to get the Peloton bike and everything. Man, they start sending us stuff all over the place about how much it costs and the stuff. I mean, just all across the off the top, down the side.
Yeah.
It's just you just can ask one little thing and they'll send you a million pieces of information.
Well, see, they have so many pieces of data
right
about you. You know, if you have a smart TV, it collects data. If you have an Alexa, it collects data. And see, it collects data, and the data is used to tell, when you're in a good mood, when you're in a bad mood, what sort of faces you make when you get excited, and see, they get all that data and they group it together, and they can pretty much predict, like you said, baking equipment. They can predict an optimal time for you to buy some baking equipment.
Right.
They say, oh, well, he just did a big deal and he got an extra $100,000.
Right. You can check
this is probably a good time,
Money got to spend.
Yeah. And then they do geo mapping, so geo mapping is if you drive in the proximity of a store that they feel that you're predisposed to buy something, they'll send you a coupon. They'll send you a coupon, and you may be driving around the bakery and they say, oh, well, you know what? For the next 2 days, we got 40% off of that oven you were looking at. And it's almost like they're like taking you and placing you in that store, and that's sort of what surveillance capitalism does. The problem with it is that these
picture, bro.
Yeah, Verle, we lost you. Come back. But these are okay. This is your personal information.
Right. Well, when my wife has a smart wife. She just got me a phone because I had a flip phone up until like a few months ago. But The thing was that because I don't like them, but we at Burger King or someplace. So we'll leave there and say, well, how was the service at this Burger King? How was the? I'm like, what are they stalking us or what?
Well, I tell you what freaked me out. I got some Jamaican food a couple of weeks ago, and I paid with my credit card, and I got the receipt on my phone.
Okay.
I never gave him my phone number.
It's all tied. It's all tied to your credit card.
It's all. Yeah, everything's tied together. You know,
that little strip on there that has all your information right there.
Yeah, it does. You know? I found this out too. We're talking about data collection points. If you go to the gas station and you use your credit card or debit card, you know, and then the TV comes on, you know.
Right.
Well, while you're standing there, it can sort of
give you a commercial
information off your debit card, and kind of find out. Well, we know Verle likes Mr. Heroes.
Right.
So Verle's riding down the street, and guess what's starting to pop up on your phone?
The coupons for the Mr. Heroes.
For Mr. Heroes.
Yeah. Go get him, boy. Go get him.
Yeah.
You got the hot butter steak sandwich for you.
Yeah. So, it's Google was the first one that actually started with surveillance capitalism. And it started with the Android. And what Google realized was that all this data, they used to collect all this data and they used to call it trash. You know, it was like garbage. They said, we don't really need all this data. And then Google figured out that, you could use this data and using, AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning, you could put this data in a form and create some algorithms that would tell you, when is the best time to sell Mike the baking equipment. They did I'll just tell you this quick story about Pokemon Go. You remember a few years ago, they had a game called Pokemon Go, right, where they
all around the city, just going around
trying to find Pokemon.
A couple people got killed doing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking for Pokemon. Looking for go around finding Pokemon. Well, see, what Pokemon Go was, actually, it was a program called Footfall, and it was a
scavenger hunt.
It was a program that it was called Footfall, and it was a program to determine how you could take somebody and not only predispose them to go buy something, but how you could actually take them and put them in the store, and that's what Pokemon Go was. The game on top of the game, Pokemon was the game that you saw, but the game behind the game was to develop a AI and machine learning and develop algorithms where they could actually take and put you in the store. For instance, I give you an example. There's one example I read. This gentleman was dating a girl, and they were starting to get a little more serious. He bought her a ring, and her birthday was coming up on Saturday, and she had looked at her phone. She had looked at this black leather jacket probably 50 times over the last month, and she never told him that she wanted this jacket. But some kind of way, one popped up on his phone. He showed it to her. She said, "Oh God, I'd love to have that." Blah blah blah. Well, they knew that he got paid on Friday. They knew her birthday was on Saturday. So on Friday, he starts getting, he's out riding around, and he gets close to the jacket store, and he starts getting these hey,
right,
this jacket's on sale for 50% off.
Right.
And the rest of the day. So what do you think happened?
He bought the jacket.
He bought the jacket. So
my wife goes through that all the time. She'll look at something, because she shop at the big girl stores and stuff. So when she said, I'm not gonna pay for that. And then they say, they sent me a thing saying if this thing is not $35, I gotta get it. And the next thing you know, it's on the porch with Amazon,
On the porch with Amazon, yeah. And they deliver so quick, man. My wife ordered something on Sunday about 12 o'clock, and Monday morning they were delivered. I said, wait a minute. I said, you just ordered this 20 hours ago, 18 hours ago. And it's amazing how quick they get it to you. Yeah.
But see, here's the theory of that. You know, the prime people have to pay before they buy anything. And I don't know how much it is, but I was looking, they had like 20 something million people that bought the prime.
Yeah, my
without
wife is
buying
one.
anything. And I think it's like $10 or $20 or something like that. Multiply that by 20 million. Come on now.
Yes, it's a lot of money.
They got people on standby doing stuff.
Yeah.
That's grand theft money, yeah. You know, what you were talking about the Pokemon example, and how underneath the game there was this other program running to kind of to manipulate you in a certain direction. That made me think about this thing TikTok they've got now. Have you heard that Trump was going to try to pass some kind of law to outlaw TikTok?
Right.
You want me to tell you? You want me to tell you why?
If American company don't buy it.
Yeah,
Okay. TikTok has developed some new algorithms for the collection of data that even Facebook doesn't have. The Chinese for a long time have been sort of ahead of the game as far as surveillance capitalism, AI, machine learning. They've been sort of a little bit ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
The TikTok collects this data just like Facebook does, but TikTok uses this data and creates facial recognition software. It learns your mannerisms. It learns when you're in a certain mood, how the muscles in your face go, which most data analytics programs do. Facebook does it and Google does it, but TikTok has been particularly good at it. And TikTok, of course, anything with China, it's the same thing with Huawei. That's why they're so down on Huawei, because technically they've kind of gone a little bit ahead of us. They kind of surpassed us. And TikTok is, I think they really want the TikTok information, the TikTok algorithms. I think that's one thing that Bill Gates probably wants. And I think he probably also wants to use it to collect data, because you collect a lot of data from a lot of people. And, one thing that, in the music business, TikTok is probably the #1 way to really kind of get your music career going now.
Right.
Because, TikTok is very popular. It puts you in front of a lot of people, and it puts you in front of them in a positive state of mind. On Facebook, when you see something on Facebook, it may piss you off, and you may not always have a positive reaction to it. But the thing about TikTok is most of the time with TikTok, you're in a positive frame of mind because it's something that you want to see. It's something that you find interesting. So TikTok has been better, not at just collecting data, but also putting that data in the algorithms that enable what we call footfall to work better. For instance, in China, they're so good with facial recognition. They have discriminated against these Muslims called the Uyghurs.
Right.
And they put them in the city. There's like 1 million Uyghurs that's in the city. It's a jail. But guess what?
Yeah.
There's no bars.
Right.
Because they can track you everywhere you go. As soon as you walk out of the house, they know where you're at.
Right.
They see you getting ready to leave, they stop you. And they know where you're at, where you're going, and pretty much what you're doing 24/7.
And see, years ago.
Yeah, that's really a bad situation over there. I even heard they're doing organ trafficking with some of those folks, and they got a re-education system. They want them to denounce their religion.
Yeah.
It's insane over there.
Yeah, but that's where the misuse of technology leads. Surveillance capitalism could really be a force for good, but when you come to capitalism, the whole concept behind capitalism is, to commodify it, to make money. And if you can make money using it for bad, that's what people will do,
Well, yeah, I could even see it, influencing an election or something,
Well, that's how it's already been used in 3 elections.
Right. Oh, yeah. Trump.
First, if you look at Obama's, a lot of his, I won't say a lot, but a few of his top people came from Google.
Yeah.
You know, and he was the first one to really develop the model for figuring out, you know, who's going to vote for me, who's not going to vote for me, using data to determine who he could flip to vote for him, and then to have someone follow up with them to make sure they voted. Because, you know, if I know when Obama was running, you'd have people call you 15 times a day. If they thought you were going to vote for him, if they thought they could convince you to vote for him.
But you know what, they also, Bobby, they also had a slick advertising campaign. You know, he'd get a lot of endorsement from former college professors and things like this, you know.
Yeah.
And I know to the Caucasian segment of the audience, hearing them get endorsed by somebody like this that looked like them would probably have a lot more impact than, say, if Lou Rawls had come on stage, you know. So,
well,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he understood, you know, what support he needed to get from where.
Right.
Because there's not enough black people to get him elected. First of all, we know that
it's not enough. It's not,
right.
Not enough. So he
Now
had
it's
to.
all black.
He had to.
When he was running, and my wife being from Pennsylvania, and I, you know, we got 88 counties in Ohio, and I just circled all the high concentrations of African Americans, like Hamilton County, you know, Cuyahoga County, and the counties in there, and it didn't amount to a hill of beans. So it's like white folks got to help him get elected.
Yeah. Well, see, he had a great message.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
The time was right.
You know, a lot of people question and say, well, how could somebody vote for Obama and then vote for Trump? But see, hope and change was his message. That was his message.
Right.
You know, and then by the time Trump came along, people were pissed off about this, pissed off about that. He said, we're going to blow it up. So we're going to tear it down. We're going to, you know, so that was his message. But
you got to remember too, he didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the popular. He got the electoral vote.
Well, see, what he did was he used a company called Cambridge Analytica. Cambridge Analytica was a data firm that used Facebook data from Facebook to not just find out who his voters were, to find out who his voters were, and to kind of steer people into voting for him. And that's what Cambridge Analytica does. You can do that with data. I can find out what makes Verle click. They have so much information, it's crazy. They can tell when you're pissed off in a picture. They can tell what makes you click. They can do certain things to move you in certain ways. See, this is where, Footfall, the Pokemon Go, this is where those algorithms, eventually, wound up. A lot of those. They can tell, Verle, that's like people say, well, why would black people vote for Trump? Because they knew which buttons to push. They knew, why would somebody vote for Obama and then vote for Trump? Because they knew which buttons to push. They knew how, from your Facebook, they knew what to send you to move you in a certain direction. And they knew from Pokemon Go,
let me tell you.
What they learned from Footfall was to deliver you to vote for Trump. And that's what Cambridge Analytica did. And the guy that did it, what is his name? But he kind of felt bad about it. And he kind of confessed. He said, man, he said, we had so much information. It was crazy, man. He said, we knew when you like to go to the bathroom.
But with the computers and stuff, if you remember back when we were coming up, they had people that went around and took them surveys and stuff. But now they got the computers, and that's what's going on, because a lot of this stuff has a lot to do with subliminal suggestion. The flash something real quick, ask all of this stuff like bam, So they taking that with the data, and they're infusing it, into the system, to create this, with the algorithms and with the, with the surveillance capitalism stuff. What's his name? The Nielsen. Have you seen the Nielsen stuff lately?
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Nope.
I mean,
They
Nielsen,
kind of disappeared. Yeah.
they have
They
a,
used to be the
no,
ones, yeah.
they're on top of it. And I'm not going to tell you how I know this.
Okay.
But let me know. Hey,
Okay.
I ain't going to tell you how I know. But see, they give you a device to wear. And you can't tell nobody that you got the device, and they pay you to wear the device, and it tracks you everything, your movements, and they give you points every day. They do all this stuff, and
Wow.
you just go about your. It's like a tracking device. And you put it on the little box, and they tell you how many points you got. And then they put you in a sweepstakes thing. Like if you wear your device on the weekends, you can make $10,000.
It's a data.
That's an incentive.
Don't ask me how I know.
It's a data collection device.
Right.
Just like your phone, just like, and I'll tell you something crazy too that I found out. I had a friend that, you ever see the Google cars that go around?
Yeah,
Google Maps, and they say, well, we're mapping.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what else they're doing? You know what else they're doing?
Right. They looking at everything, and they're checking license plates and doing.
They're checking license plates. If you, they're sucking up information from your Wi-Fi.
Right. They're picking up.
So if your Wi-Fi is on,
signals, they're picking up your credit card.
Picking up your Wi-Fi. They're downloading information from your Wi-Fi from your home. That's just
and
like
from your car and from your own car.
Yeah, they're sucking up Wi-Fi.
That's crazy.
If you walk into an airport,
and Gordon,
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to say, if you walk into an airport now, they do much the same thing with your phone. And that's why people say, well, God, this guy, how did they catch this guy in California and he killed somebody in Maine? Because they can track, there's so many different ways they can track you with facial recognition, with you don't even have to use your cell phone. You know what I'm saying? But they can track you. This is like, people say, well, I don't want to get a chip. You already got a chip. It's called a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes with
you're right about the facial recognition. There's a young lady I know, and her daughter was, for lack of a better word, we'll say a kleptomaniac, but she was always getting busted. And she thought she was getting more sophisticated. She'd go in different stores. But then it came out that some of these stores have a sign with, jewelry or cologne or something on it, but it has a camera in it. So when she looks at the sign when she goes to the store, she's got a picture facial recognition. Okay, the thief is in the store, follow her around, and bam, they always get her,
Yeah. Well, that's because they know she's, they've used that in Vegas casinos. If you cheat in a Vegas casino, then as soon as you walk in another casino, they'll meet you at the door and say, hey, you know what?
You ain't welcome.
Why don't you just turn right back around? You persona non grata, and you know why, yeah.
And so, Steve,
yeah. Also, Google. Let's go back to Google for a minute.
Okay.
Google started with Android phones. Google, 90% of the world's cell phones are Android. 90% of the world's cell phones are Android.
That's a big market share.
Now listen to that. Google is collecting data from 90% of the people in the world that own cell phones.
That's a big group.
So that makes their worth.
That's right. But see, they're collecting all this information from everybody. So they, the thing about AI and machine learning is that you can have an algorithm or a program where I don't have to tell the program, well, if Verle smiles when he sees a hamburger, he wants a hamburger. The program will figure that out from all the data that I put into it. Right. And it'll even say, well, Verle, if he smiles twice, he wants a cheeseburger. You know what I'm saying? So, and you don't have to, once you program machine learning and AI into your algorithm, it kind of learns from trial and error. They say the last time, Verle did his ear twice like that, he bought a supersized this Big Mac, or something.
Right.
So the machine will learn that when you do that, they just get the Big Mac coupons ready for you. you know, and as soon as you pick up your phone, there they go, you know. You know, Google, like I said, Google, that's why I always wondered when Google first started, why were people putting so much money in and they weren't making money? Because it was about 7 or 8 years before they actually started making money. And it was
They
because
could see the bigger picture. You know, they had that vision for the
exactly,
future.
yeah, exactly. They could see
And
the
that
bigger
was
picture.
based on their collection of data that they had probably collected prior to going public.
That's right. That's right.
And,
Yeah.
you know, now, like we were talking about election a little while ago, and the fact that the Koch brothers were putting so much money into the election. I heard, like, in the Trump campaign, they're putting in like $400 million now,
Mhm.
you know.
Well,
So,
you know, data, I don't, data is not to be underestimated, you know,
At all.
especially in a
oh, no
political
way.
campaign.
At all.
But see, now
Got,
the cat's
got
out
to
of the
be
bag.
valued.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag, so everybody's using it now.
Right.
You know, Obama, that's why Obama, I know one time he was, they was giving a State of the Union address and somebody said something and Obama said, yes, that's why I got elected twice. And he said, if I ran again, I'd get elected again. And he
He
was,
knows.
they understood the model, the data model. And then, you know, when Trump came along with Cambridge Analytica, they kind of figured it out, you know, and that's why he was able to, you know, because nobody really thought Trump was going to win. Not, I don't say nobody,
Nobody.
but a lot of
No,
people.
no, they can't. Hey, man.
They didn't really think he was going to win, but they understood the data with Cambridge Analytica and Facebook. You know, they understood the data, man. You know, Cambridge Analytica, you can buy data from Facebook if you want to you know, to achieve something. You have to know what to
Right.
do with it, but you can, it's their data. And that's the thing about data, is for sale. You know,
Right.
Well, you know, I guess one of the things now, though, how do we, you know, people in our group, take advantage of this technology to the point where we can make some money? And also, I think, you know, how do we collectively do some things with it so that, you know, we can help our communities, you know, help Africa. I was thinking about Africa today. I heard some statistics. You know, there's like 1.55 countries, as you know, 1.1 billion people. But still, we only make 1/5 of the GDP that, say, a country like India does.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we change that, you know, using this data?
Well, see, you know, part of data analytics, it's, you know, and I've been taking some classes lately myself because I always thought I was, you know, a pretty smart dude, but this is like a whole different area. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about data analytics, if you don't understand, you have to become educated.
Right.
You know, you have to, know a little bit about trigonometry. You got to know a little bit about, you know, algorithms. You have to know, because
I'm out.
a lot of data analytics is set up not so much numerically, but a lot of times visually. You know, for instance, you know, in the music business, they use data analytics to project, you know, who's going to be the next big star. They did this with Megan Thee Stallion. They did it with Khalid. And that's the way they project a star. They look at your social media and they take your data and they crunch your data. And they found out that, you know, when Beyonce blew up, she had certain things in her data that stood out. Well, Megan Thee Stallion happened to have some of those same things in her data. So that's why they can project and they say, well, you know, Megan Thee Stallion has about 27% of things that are common with Beyonce. She's got about 14% of things that are common with Rihanna. And she's got another 12% that are common with Taylor Swift. So there's like better than a 50-50 chance that she's going to be a star. And you can actually take that data and go to a label and they'll give you money.
They're
Plus,
willing to take a chance, yeah.
yeah, I mean, they'll no,
It's
because they
valuable.
know that if the data is
Valuable.
valuable and
Right.
it tells the truth, it lets you know what's going to happen. You know,
Right.
it's predictive. You know, yeah.
But it's kind of like a formula, you know. I guess every now and then, though, somebody walks in off the street and just kind of bucks the curve. That's the anomaly. But for the most part, you're right. Yeah, the data will determine most things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, pretty much it's just a tool that, you know, if you don't have it in your toolbox, then you're probably not going to be able to compete with the person that does, you know. And in business, you know, in business, every major company now is onto it. I mean, because that's,
But
you know, for instance, Ford, tell you an interesting story about Ford. Ford, had been through this thing where they said, we got to be more profitable. And one way you become profitable is you can increase your cost, or you can increase your price, or you can cut your labor costs, or you can cut your raw materials costs. I used to work in a lab, and we used to make wheels for Ford, and every year, the F-150 wheels, they say, okay, every year we want to pay $3 less for them. Well, eventually you're going to be giving away for nothing. But, they squeeze costs. And there's only so much cost you can squeeze. Right. And the UAW is not going to let them pay.
The product before it starts to affect the product.
But somebody at Ford said one day, well, you know what? They say there's 263 million vehicles in the country that go around on a regular basis. And they say between all of Ford cars and Ford trucks, we have about 115 million of those vehicles are Ford. They have more vehicles on the road than anybody. And I say,
wow,
why don't we just commodify all this data we got and figure that into the value of the company? And so that's what they've done. So they've also started collecting data. And see, when you're in a car, the thing about data, in surveillance capitalism, you want to collect it from a number of different places. I mean, you can collect so much data in the car with somebody in the car. It's crazy. You can collect, and if you use your cell phone in the car, or download your contacts and information off your cell phone, it may hook up to Facebook. It may look at what it may say, oh, you can set up an account or just log on using Facebook. Facebook loves that because then they get all the data.
Your phone is hooked up to the car, yeah. Your phone is hooked up to the car because you Bluetooth everything, yeah.
Yeah, and it's listening to what you say. It's collecting visual data. I mean, auditory data. It's also collecting visual data. So it's collecting the way you drive, where you go. The things you're saying on the phone.
Buying habits, yeah.
Buying habits, footfall, where you like to buy, where you like to park.
Right.
How do you drive? The restaurants you like to eat at. They know that Verle goes to for Chinese food every Thursday, the same place. So about Tuesday, you'll start getting coupons.
And let me interject right here. It's the same thing with the insurance company, Progressive and these other. They're sending you a little device to put in your car, and it collects the data, and then they're sending you say, well, okay, then, you drive too many miles, so we can't give you a discount on your.
But see, they tell you, that's the thing that's so insidious about data collection, is they tell you what it does, but they may not tell you everything it does.
Everything it does.
If a Nest thermostat could listen to you, I'm sure that little device could listen to you too.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? T-Mobile offered me this little device that I plug into my computer port under the dash, and it'll give me like a hotspot in the car. And I get T-Mobile Tuesdays, like money off of gas on Tuesday, and other little. It give me a whole bunch of stuff, right to the phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and it's a little tracking too. If my car gets stolen, they can track it. But they're tracking me basically.
Yeah.
See,
so Ford,
that's the same with my OnStar. See, the thing is that every month it sends me a diagnostic of the car. It tell me if my tire pressures is low. It tell me if I need an oil change. And we had a sensor go out, and they told us the sensor got out, and they said we're going to make you an appointment at the dealer. And okay then, so here was something that cost me about probably the sensor probably was about $40. End up with an $800 bill from the dealer.
Yeah, and mine does that too. The one I got from T-Mobile. Just like when you go to AutoZone, they plug up under and tell you what codes, for what fuses are out and everything. I can do the same thing on my cell phone with that thing that's under the dash.
Right. Right.
Yes. And see, a lot of times, data can be used for good. I mean, there's a lot of good reasons.
Oh yeah.
But surveillance the reason it's called surveillance capitalism is because they do it without your knowledge. Most of the time they do it without your knowledge. The conversation we're hearing now, I want you to do an experiment. If you go out in the world, the next 10 or 15 people you run into, ask them, what is surveillance capitalism? How many you think could tell you?
You already know the answer.
You already know the answer. Yeah, you already know the answer. So, you know, it's done without your knowledge.
Right.
And that's, you know, that's a crazy way, you know, to you know, when you you know, before it used to be, you know, they'd steal money out of your bank account. They just take a little bit, you know, take 23 cents here,
wipe you out,
12 cents here from 50 million people, you know, for this fee and that fee, you know, without your knowledge.
Oh yeah.
You know, and in the end, they make a lot of money, and you wouldn't even know, you know, that they had taken that money from you, or you would just say, okay, well, that's a fee, you know. So that's a simplistic view, but you know, anytime you do something without somebody's knowledge, the reason you do it is because if they find out about it, they probably wouldn't want you.
They probably gripe about it.
They probably gripe about it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You know,
So,
but like you say, when it's such a small amount, they like, well, so what? But like you say, 50 million people.
Yeah, yeah.
Quarter can be pretty significant, you know.
Yeah. So see, Ford says, hey man, we got 110 million people driving around every day that we can collect data from.
Right. Exactly.
And guess what? And all of them have cell phones too, you know. So Ford is collecting a lot of data. So you can sell data. You can take that and you can sell it.
Oh yeah.
For a number of reasons. You can sell it. You say, well, I want half the people in Cleveland to come buy donuts from me. Yeah. You know, and you could, you know, figure out how to get half the, I don't know if you can get half the people in Cleveland in town, you know, but you can get a number of people and kind of steer them to your donut shop. You know, you can, first of all, you want to find out the people that like donuts, you know, and then you offer them coupons. And then you say, well, if you come in on Friday, you know, we'll give you an extra dozen if you buy 2 dozen. Well, they may only wanted 3 donuts, but now they're getting 3 dozen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, something like that happened recently to me. I got a coupon online in my email box, or either Messenger or one of them, and it said, and it was from Chipotle, which I do go to Chipotle sometimes. Okay. For being a good customer, names randomly, we're going to send you this $100 coupon to be used at Chipotle. All you got to do is forward
it ain't random. It ain't random, bro.
Yeah. All you got to do is forward this message to 50 of your friends, which I did. And I said, wait a minute, right after I pushed send, I said, I Googled, is Chipotle giving out $100 coupon? And they said, no, it was a scam, you know. So now these folks just got me to contact 50 people, and for each and every one, contact 50, and then it just, you know, crazy.
Yeah. It's
I went for it, and I really knew better, you know. And Robert, I think it was after we had started talking about surveillance capitalism.
Yeah. It's you know, but you know, data can be used for good. One of the things about capitalism figures out how to take things and make money off of it.
Give it a price. Give it a value.
Yeah, give it a value. You know, the monetization of labor. You know, laborers. You know, your labor for this is worth $7.25 an hour. That's what it's worth to us. You know, the price of oil. You know, price of oil has been down because, you know, the world economy is down and people aren't driving as much as they used to be. But, you know, eventually you'll run out of oil. So they monetize oil. They monetize, you know, all kind of metals. They monetize, you know, anything, capitalism, monetize. And they're running out of things to monetize. So Google said, well, why don't we monetize data? And so that's exactly what they say. Here's something, here's a natural resource that we can get. We don't have to pay anything for it. Matter of fact, we'll give the phones away for free. We'll get, they can have the phones, you know, because we'll make 1,000 times that much back on the data that we sell.
I read an article years ago remember when RCA came out with that, they had that big video player, had that big album almost like dish you put in, and they were saying,
I remember that. Yeah.
Laser disc, yeah.
I read an article in the Wall Street Journal, and they were talking about why it didn't succeed, because they said that it was overpriced. And they said, and one of the things they said, well, if you're gonna, you give away machine for almost nothing, if the money is to be made in the disc. And it referred to razor blades. Say, okay, if the money is to be made in razor blades, then you give the razor away free.
Yeah, you do.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
So so they give you this stuff, and then they come on, we're gonna make money. But see, there are individuals that are making money on the surveillance capital, and they know, because those are the people where they're endorsing products on their Facebook, and these people, they're getting so many, and they're getting paid for that.
Yeah.
They used to have this seminar that was going around how to get paid on the social media stuff, and then they stopped it because a lot of people was making money on it, and they really didn't want that secret out.
Yeah, you can. That's the thing with just on a much lower level. With music, one of the things you do when you're working with the artist is you look on all the different platforms and you look at the analytics, and the analytics will tell you, well, when every time we do a song and we have it's a hip hop song with an 808 in it, we get these people here. They're this age, we usually get 70% of males between the age of 14 and 28, and they live in California and Texas. It gives you a lot of information. So what you can know is that who your fans are, where they live, what type of music they like, how long they listen to it. And one way to tell if they're going to buy it is Shazam. Shazam is one of the most important analytical tools to find out if somebody will buy your song. Because for somebody to Shazam your song, they have to go in their pocket, they have to take out their phone, they have to open up Shazam, they have to hold it up to the radio, and then there's a little button that says you want to buy it, and you just hit click. So somebody will go through 4 different operations to find out who's singing that song. There's, I think, a 72% chance that they'll buy that song.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's all data driven, because Shazam and Spotify, Spotify is probably the best platform using data to push artists, because Spotify uses what they call vectors. They use music vectors, and they'll find out that, this vector of music from Shomo, these people like Verle's music, and they like so-and-so's music, and like so-and-so's music.
They're like,
we find out if we do this type of music, it appeals to all of them. Right. You know what I'm saying?
See, on Spotify,
so that's why they can project, who's going to be big. Yeah.
Because when you look at, Spotify and these other ones, they say, okay, like we were just looking at some stuff the other day, and it says, okay, you looking for this song, here's the song, but also here are the other people that was looking for this song, they like these also, and they give you a list.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And they do the same thing with if you're looking to buy a product, they say people that bought this also considered this.
Right.
Because they've looked at your data. They've looked at your data, and they know that you'd be, and a lot of times you buy it. I was looking for a music book. I'll show you. I'm just going to show you what it was. I was looking for, I said, man, I got to get this circle of fifths, because I don't really understand it. So I need a little cheat sheet.
Yeah, the fifth.
So, you can find out what keys to play, what chords to play, what the chord progression is. And they say people, people that bought that also looked at this in case you want to transpose a song into your vocal key or to somebody else's vocal key. I said, oh man, that's great. And they say, and if you get those two, then you should also get the chord wheel. You should get the chord wheel, because that's an easy way to tell you what chords you use. You don't have to think. If it's in a chord of B, you use D minor, E minor, A minor, and C. When you write a song, I said, oh man, this is so cool. And you don't have to go to school for 10 years to understand it. So First I went to buy this one for $8, but they said we'll give them all to you for $34. I said, okay, yeah, I'll take them. You know, but
then after you get all that information, you say, well, now I got to find out how to diminish the seventh.
Yeah. And they tell you they got something for that too, you know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they got something for that too, you know. And but it just goes to show you that if I was predisposed to get the circle of fist, then they knew I probably needed it to write some music.
Right. Yeah.
And if I had to buy this, I probably wasn't trained musically.
Right.
But
they already knew.
Yeah, they already knew. He's probably not a professionally trained musician, but and a lot of people write music using stuff like this,
Right.
So they said, well, you should probably get this too. And what they probably knew is most songwriters who weren't, traditionally trained probably use the same stuff, Yeah.
Right.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like having a cheat sheet.
Yeah. So so that's we just touched upon surveillance capitalism, and I hope I hope everybody got a little better understanding, I would encourage people to find out, about things like this, to do a little research, because surveillance capitalism can affect democracy, and we've already seen that in 3 elections.
Right.
So it's good to understand, it's good to understand, and it's good to understand sometimes why you go on Facebook, you get pissed off, and why maybe when you go on TikTok, you kind of want to dance a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is sort of kind of explains that a little bit, but I think it's important, because like Shoshana Zuboff says, you have to name it, then you can tame it. Because this is a new technology that didn't exist 20 years ago.
Well, I think that we all should be involved in this to find out more about it and get to it and see in our lives, because we are all businessmen, and that we could use this to help our businesses also.
Oh yeah, for no doubt about it, man. And it's technology can be used for good or bad. It's like the nuclear power. You could power a city with something this big, or you could blow up a city. You know what I'm saying?
The same energy.
Yeah, so you can use it for good, or you can use it for bad. And I think that's where democracy comes in. And you have to be sure that you try to, whatever you do, you want to try to do some good with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you can do good and make money too. That's the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the people, including us, that get involved with this technology, have a moral compass that guides them in the direction of doing something positive.
Right.
And anything technological nowadays, we really got to get our kids involved in.
Yeah, you do.
I as a photographer doing college senior portraits for 30 some odd years. I see the number one major, unfortunately, among our college graduates, African American, is, what do you think it is, Robert?
What's that? Number one major
for African American.
What is it? Education?
What do you think, Mike?
Well, the whole thing is retooling and getting the understanding of what's really going on to produce better situations for yourself, your family, and the community.
So
right, but the number one major was sociology. And there's nothing wrong with that, There's nothing really wrong with that. Mm-hmm. But now, if you take, say, somebody from India, 99 out of 100 times it was going to be engineering or medicine. Asians, computer science or engineering.
Well, see,
some kind of business and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that Nehru did. Nehru, when they abolished the caste system, 49 or 50, something like that, they found out, because remember with your caste system, they couldn't go to school and education, and they found out that worldwide that their math skills were, far, deficient. and he mandated that everybody, they brought people in from Arabia and China to teach all their people. And now, if you look at every tech company in the world, there's an Indian that sit on top of it because of their math skill. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know.
Oh yeah, and you know what?
Okay, guys.
Yeah. And like you're absolutely right. And what's interesting is a lot of these schools, like when I was at Carnegie Mellon in Pennsylvania, for instance,
great school,
huge. I think the president of the college is from India, and a huge Indian population. And like Berkeley, almost all Asian. You know, you think Berkeley is kind of a party school, hippies and stuff like that. Man, heavy Asian population, and they're all into technology.
Right.
They would come down at lunchtime in the courtyard and play speed chess, and then be talking about, you know, nanotechnology and stuff like that.
Right.
So we got to get our kids into the science, technology, engineering, math thing, you know.
But that's all design.
We're running up against our deadline, so we're going to have to kind of wrap it up. But
okay, you guys got the last word.
Appreciate everybody for tuning in. I thought we had a great conversation, and obviously, you know, we're not going to get through it all today. But the good part about it is that we're going to come together again, and we're here every Monday. So I would ask, you know, if someone suggested that we cover this topic, if there's a topic that you find interesting and you'd like us to cover, you know, let us know. You know, I'm at Russell Ent Group on IG, at Russell ENTGROUP. Reach out and let us know if there's something, a topic you'd like to cover. So if you guys want to have any closing remarks, please. What
we're going to do is see, we're going to keep on going with this, and we're going to change the name of the show to The Three Wise Men. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, let's give a shout out
to always a pleasure.
Okay. Well, but if this doesn't work out, man, you can always do comedy, you know. Okay. We'll see you guys.